Confirmed is the next Battlefield game, and although I could list a whole 2042 changes for DICE to make to the next Battlefield, did you see what I did there? We'd be here for the rest of the year. So in an attempt to make less grown men cry upon the release of Battlefield 6 in 2025,
I've got nothing left!
my letter and advice to DICE goes something like this. Dear DICE, I write to you as a YouTuber coming from an immense position of power with my 99 subscribers, 2:1 KD ratio and half the total Battlefield games installed on my PC. I'm hoping you'll take my suggestions and advice on board, making it less likely to have recent history repeat itself, resulting in half of your fanbase leaving to go to that small-time game, Call of Duty. Look, first of all we need to talk about your in-game music. Please allocate a good proportion of the budget to creating a soundtrack so we don't have to hit the mute button as soon as the main menu loads. Previous music from Battlefield has sounded like a piece of art. It adds to the atmosphere and helps you feel immersed in the era of the game. The music is such an underrated part of any video game. Just listen to this masterpiece you made from Battlefield 1. Now compare that to Battlefield 2042's official soundtrack. It sounds like a cross between a car crash and a dying cat. I mean, honestly, just listen to this. It's making my ears bleed. I don't know who gave the go-ahead on that soundtrack, but they seriously need to go for the next title.
Rafe, you're fired.
Can you imagine when the producers were creating this soundtrack and they were like, yep, that's the one, we got it. I mean, were they actually having a laugh? What's funny is, when searching for background music for my videos, I literally cannot use a single 2042 track unless I'd be trying to go for the world record in downvotes or dislikes. Anyway, let's move on before I say something I regret. Destructible buildings are Battlefield's staple. This is what the franchise is known for. Being able to reshape the landscape in a first-person shooter is what adds realism to the game. If you take this out of your game for another consecutive year, you are at risk of losing even more of your player base. Players want to feel as though they are in a real war, hence the title, Battlefield. There doesn't need to be so much destruction that the map eventually becomes a tipping ground, but just enough so that we can blow holes in walls to stop campers and create paths for us to advance on the objectives. Specialists have actually taken away the need to choose a particular class and has ended up making all players on both teams look identical. I would suggest restricting weapon choice to each class. This would encourage teamwork by having players select their class based on which weapon they want to use and discourage people from only using the meta weapons the whole time, such as the VHX. Perhaps think about leaving specialists in with weapon restrictions so the new game has a mixture of specialists and utility of classes. I have to address the current state of Gunplay in this letter. Gunplay really needs a tweak. At times it feels like a Star Wars game. Shooting laser beams with a VHX in my hand, combined with this suit. I could honestly pass as a stormtrooper. I actually wouldn't be surprised if I saw Darth Vader jump out of a helicopter at this point. The gunplay needs to match the map design. You can't be having laser beams on open ground. It just doesn't make for a realistic battlefield. The maps and gunplay need to go hand in hand. One quick win for Battlefield 6 could be to have a server browser, where players can simply choose which map they want to play and filter out the maps they don't want. The amount of times I have straight up quit the game as soon as I load in, or even worse, get one of my more favourable maps only for the game to have 20 tickets remaining. On top of that, we can't even stay in the same lobby. It's back to the main menu to search for another game. This is just so poor, and the next Battlefield needs a server browser. With that being said, please revisit your map design process. Don't make us run halfway across the map to reach the objective, only to get drilled by a scar from 800 meters away. Take elements of previous titles and combine them into one. I'm not saying every map needs to be like Operation Underground, but please mix up the open maps, close quarters, and everything in between. Different style maps allow for different weapons to flourish under different environments. Please don't cut corners, as map design is a fundamental aspect and foundation of any Battlefield game. DICE, come on now. What were you thinking adding AI turrets and rangers into the game? It's one thing to have AI players to fill the empty slots in the server, but it's another to have a full server and then have stationary turrets and dogs running around. Players want to be shooting other players, not a ranger that fell from the sky, only to be running around like you're taking a dog for a walk. Make it make sense, DICE. Out of all the points on the wish list, none of this can come true without real preparation. Please don't make yet the same mistake, rushing out another title, only for it to be fixed 2 years later. This new release is do or die for your franchise. I'm hopefully optimistic that you won't make the same mistakes as you did on 2042's title. Give us back something the fans want. Bring back classes, great gunplay, server browsers, an epic soundtrack, map designs and huge destruction in mind. Give us back Battlefield. Yours sincerely, Agent 0161.